Welcome to the Elephant in the Brain audiobook. In this book, we uncover the hidden motives behind our actions. Often, we don't realize what's really driving our behavior. We tell ourselves stories and put on masks to fit in, hiding the truth even from ourselves. This journey will help you understand these hidden forces and how they affect your decisions. Each chapter blends personal stories, psychology, and culture to give insights into why we act the way we do. You'll learn about the masks we wear, how we deceive ourselves, and the tension between logic and emotion. We'll explore topics like culture, vulnerability, and what it takes to live authentically. Let's dive into Chapter 1. The Masks We Wear. Chapter 1. The masks we wear in social situations. We often put on facades to protect ourselves from judgment and rejection. I remember times when I adjusted my smile in the mirror or rehearsed what to say before meeting people. These masks helped me hide my insecurities, like the fear of not being good enough or wanting to be accepted. We switch roles depending on where we are, confident at work, quieter at home. These shifting personas help us navigate life, but they also make us hide parts of who we really are. Recognizing these masks can deepen our relationships. When we notice the guarded smiles or careful words of others, we can respond with empathy and honesty. Try journaling about situations where you change your behavior. What parts of your true self do you hide? Understanding these patterns can help you be more genuine with yourself and others. Why we hide ourselves? Society often pressures us to conform. From a young age, we learn to act a certain way to avoid judgment. Social media pushes us to present perfect lives, and we hide our quirks and fears to fit in. But pretending all the time can feel lonely and exhausting. I've experienced this firsthand. I used to love poetry, but when I shared it at school, people laughed. It hurt, so I pretended it didn't matter. Over time, I realized that the masks I wore to feel safe were also keeping me isolated. Choosing authenticity over conformity takes courage, but it can lead to deeper connections. When we share even small truths about ourselves, we encourage others to do the same. Living beyond the mask, it's easy to feel comforted by the routines we create. Every day, I put on my mask and pretend everything is fine, even when it's not. Society expects us to act happy and successful, but deep down, this act can feel unfulfilling. Eventually, I realized that true safety comes not from wearing masks, but from being honest about who I am. It was scary at first, but each time I dropped my guard, I felt lighter. Being real with ourselves and others brings freedom and joy, even in life's messiness. A helpful practice is to reflect on your life and ask, what feels like an illusion? Slowly, you can peel back these layers to find your true self underneath. Chapter 2. The stories we tell ourselves. We often create stories to explain our choices and actions. These stories help us feel better, making us seem like heroes or victims in our own minds. For example, a friend once told me about a tough decision she made, but the way she told the story made it sound like she had no other choice. I realized I do the same thing, using stories to justify my actions and shape how others see me. Our memories are also tricky. Looking back, it's easy to believe we always knew what would happen, but in the moment, we were uncertain. Recognizing this helps us treat ourselves with more kindness instead of judging our past decisions too harshly. One way to explore this is by journaling about important moments without trying to justify them. Write about how you felt at the time, confused, scared, or hopeful. Then reflect on the story you've told yourself since. This process helps you honor both the struggles and the lessons from your past. Crafting our identity, the stories we tell shape how we see ourselves and the world. Our identities are like books, filled with chapters of memories, experiences, and dreams. Each story we tell about ourselves becomes a thread in the fabric of who we are. As you reflect on your own story, ask yourself, what stories do I live by? These narratives can help us grow, connect, and live more intentionally. By understanding the masks we wear and the stories we tell, we can move toward a more honest and fulfilling life. Let's begin this journey to uncover the hidden truths behind our actions. Welcome to the Elephant in the Brain audiobook. In this book, we uncover the hidden motives behind our actions. Often, we don't realize what's really driving our behavior. We tell ourselves stories and put on masks to fit in, hiding the truth even from ourselves. This journey will help you understand these hidden forces and how they affect your decisions. Each chapter blends personal stories, psychology, and culture to give insights into why we act the way we do. You'll learn about the masks we wear, how we deceive ourselves, and the tension between logic and emotion. We'll explore topics like culture, vulnerability, and what it takes to live authentically. Let's dive into Chapter 1, The Masks We Wear. Chapter 1. The masks we wear in social situations. We often put on facades to protect ourselves from judgment and rejection. I remember times when I adjusted my smile in the mirror or rehearsed what to say before meeting people. These masks helped me hide my insecurities, like the fear of not being good enough or wanting to be accepted. We switch roles depending on where we are. Confident at work, quieter at home. These shifting personas help us navigate life, but they also make us hide parts of who we really are. Recognizing these masks can deepen our relationships. When we notice the guarded smiles or careful words of others, we can respond with empathy and honesty. Try journaling about situations where you change your behavior. What parts of your true self do you hide? Understanding these patterns can help you be more genuine with yourself and others. Why we hide ourselves, society often pressures us to conform. From a young age, we learn to act a certain way to avoid judgment. Social media pushes us to present perfect lives, and we hide our quirks and fears to fit in. But pretending all the time can feel lonely and exhausting. I've experienced this firsthand. I used to love poetry, but when I shared it at school, people laughed. It hurt, so I pretended it didn't matter. Over time, I realized that the masks I wore to feel safe were also keeping me isolated. Choosing authenticity over conformity takes courage, but it can lead to deeper connections. When we share even small truths about ourselves, we encourage others to do the same. Living beyond the mask, it's easy to feel comforted by the routines we create. Every day, I put on my mask and pretend everything is fine, even when it's not. Society expects us to act happy and successful, but deep down, this act can feel unfulfilling. Eventually, I realized that true safety comes not from wearing masks, but from being honest about who I am. It was scary at first, but each time I dropped my guard, I felt lighter. Being real with ourselves and others brings freedom and joy, even in life's messiness. A helpful practice is to reflect on your life and ask, what feels like an illusion? Slowly, you can peel back these layers to find your true self underneath. Chapter 2. The stories we tell ourselves. We often create stories to explain our choices and actions. These stories help us feel better, making us seem like heroes or victims in our own minds. For example, a friend once told me about a tough decision she made, but the way she told the story made it sound like she had no other choice. I realized I do the same thing, using stories to justify my actions and shape how others see me. Our memories are also tricky. Looking back, it's easy to believe we always knew what would happen. But in the moment, we were uncertain. Recognizing this helps us treat ourselves with more kindness instead of judging our past decisions too harshly. One way to explore this is by journaling about important moments without trying to justify them. Write about how you felt at the time, confused, scared, or hopeful. Then reflect on the story you've told yourself since. This process helps you honor both the struggles and the lessons from your past. Crafting our identity, the stories we tell shape how we see ourselves and the world. Our identities are like books, filled with chapters of memories, experiences, and dreams. Each story we tell about ourselves becomes a thread in the fabric of who we are. As you reflect on your own story, ask yourself, what stories do I live by? These narratives can help us grow, connect, and live more intentionally. By understanding the masks we wear and the stories we tell, we can move toward a more honest and fulfilling life. Let's begin this journey to uncover the hidden truths behind our actions. Finding balance between independence and connection, learning how to balance being independent and relying on others can be life-changing. It lets us make thoughtful decisions, stay true to who we are, and still be open to others' support. Asking for help doesn't mean you're weak. It's part of being human. Next time you feel overwhelmed trying to do everything alone, remember that working with others can unlock new joy and creativity you might not find by yourself. Talk to the people around you, share your thoughts, and be open to their views. Understanding who you really are often comes from these shared moments. What we want and why we want it, our desires, shape the choices we make. When I take time to reflect, I notice my wants are often tied to old dreams, social pressure, or hidden fears. These desires aren't random. They guide our actions in powerful ways, even if we don't realize it. Sometimes we think we want money or success, but what we're really looking for is love, belonging, or meaning. I've followed paths that seemed successful on the outside, like chasing career goals, only to feel empty inside. After looking deeper, I found I craved creativity and connection, but had ignored these needs for years. Many of us live this way, caught between what we really want and what society expects from us. Asking ourselves honest questions like, "Am I doing this for me or for others?" can help us find clarity and freedom. How hidden bias affects our choices. Unconscious biases shape our thoughts and actions without us knowing. They come from personal experiences, culture, and social norms, influencing how we treat people and make decisions. I once noticed that I was favoring candidates with backgrounds similar to mine while hiring, not on purpose, but because it felt comfortable. In one instance, I met someone who seemed very different from me, and I assumed we wouldn't connect. But as we talked, I realized we had a shared passion for social justice, and her perspective changed mine in unexpected ways. That moment taught me how important it is to be open to others and not let bias stop me from forming meaningful connections. The first step to overcoming bias is noticing it and being curious about other people's stories. The need for validation. We all want validation. It's natural to seek approval from others, but this need can sometimes take over our lives. I've noticed how likes on social media or praise from others can feel like proof of my worth. Yet, I've also realized that chasing external approval often leaves me feeling empty. I once chose a career based on others' expectations, ignoring my own dreams. That experience taught me that while recognition feels good, it's more important to find fulfillment within. I've started spending time alone to reflect on my true desires and give myself the validation I used to seek from others. True success comes from following what makes you happy, not just what impresses others. Facing uncomfortable truths. The elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is a metaphor for uncomfortable truths we avoid. These truths are often tied to deep fears or desires. Recognizing them is the first step toward understanding ourselves better. I experienced this when my father was ill. I spent time with him, laughing and sharing stories, while avoiding the thought that our time was limited. Denial protected me for a while, but when I looked at old photos after his passing, reality hit me hard. Facing the truth was painful, but it helped me honor both his memory and my emotions. Denial can be both a comfort and a trap. It's okay to shield yourself for a time, but embracing the truth, no matter how hard, can lead to personal growth and deeper connections with others. Facing denial and finding healing. When you feel denial creeping in, try to take a step back and ask yourself what truth you might be avoiding. Writing down your thoughts can help you reflect, or sharing with a trusted friend may uncover things you've been reluctant to face. These moments of self-awareness often lead to personal growth, reminding us that embracing life's challenges can be deeply rewarding. Facing the elephants we avoid. We all have fears or insecurities. We try to ignore our personal elephants. At first, it feels easier to avoid them, but the more we hide these feelings, the heavier they become. I remember struggling with self-doubt, a voice reminding me of past failures and convincing me I wasn't good enough. But by confronting that doubt, I started reclaiming my power. What once felt scary began to shrink. becoming something I could handle. Each time I faced my fears, I learned more about myself. I began to see my vulnerabilities not as weaknesses, but as signs of being human. Sharing my struggles connected me with others, making me feel less alone. The more I talked about my fears, the smaller they became. Facing these elephants can be tough, but it leads to healing and growth. Start by acknowledging your fears. Write down thoughts you've kept hidden, even if it feels uncomfortable. The more you express these truths, the less control they will have over you. Rationality vs. emotion. The inner tug of war every day. We wrestle with logic and emotions. Logic gives us clear reasoning, while emotions can feel overwhelming, like a storm. I've experienced times when I followed logic alone, ignoring my feelings, only to end up with regret. Logic is essential, but it's often our emotions that lead us to what makes life feel meaningful. Finding balance between the two is key. I learned that when I let my mind and heart work together, I made better decisions. The next time you face a tough choice, try listening to both. Take a step back, journal your emotions, and reflect on the facts. When your mind and heart align, you might discover new paths that feel right for you. Emotional intelligence. A new perspective. Emotional intelligence has reshaped how I make decisions. It's not just about facts, it's about recognizing feelings in yourself and others. Emotions send important signals, telling us what feels right or wrong, often faster than logic can. I've learned that ignoring emotions can lead to mistakes. It's not only about weighing pros and cons, but understanding how choices affect feelings, both my own and others. Balancing emotion with logic takes practice, but it leads to deeper satisfaction. When emotions run high, I pause and journal my feelings. This helps me separate emotions from facts. Once my thoughts are clearer, I revisit the situation logically. This blend of heart and mind helps me make choices that are effective and meaningful. Understanding mixed signals. Confusion happens when emotions and logic send mixed signals. Sometimes I felt excited about an opportunity, but also anxious about taking the risk. In relationships, I've experienced moments where someone's words didn't match their actions, leaving me uncertain. I've learned that clarity often comes from open communication. When I ask questions and seek honesty, it helps me understand both my own feelings and others' intentions. Sorting through mixed emotions takes courage, but it's essential for building trust and authentic relationships. The role of culture in shaping us. Culture plays a big role in shaping our behavior and values, sometimes without us even noticing. The lessons we learn growing up, like how we treat elders or celebrate traditions, become part of who we are. For example, in my upbringing, showing respect to elders was a daily practice that shaped how I connect with others. Different cultures teach different values. Some focus on individual success, while others emphasize community and togetherness. I've found that these cultural values can guide us like a compass, but also create conflicts when personal beliefs don't align with what we were taught. As I interacted with new people and cultures, I began questioning some of the beliefs I grew up with. This process was challenging but it helped me grow and become more open-minded. Balancing personal values with cultural expectations is a lifelong journey, one that deepens our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Navigating expectations in my community, figuring out career paths always felt tough. People around me were expected to follow traditional roles, even if they secretly wanted to try something different. This left me with a tough question. Should I follow the expected, safe path or chase my passion, knowing it might disappoint my loved ones? These choices can bring up big emotions, and finding a balance between what's expected and what you truly want can be hard. But these struggles help us grow. They teach us to build strength and help us discover who we really are, finding a way to respect our roots while being true to ourselves. Thinking about how our culture shapes us isn't just about learning, it's a way to understand ourselves. We should have open conversations with others and with ourselves, embracing our traditions while also exploring new ideas gives us a deeper understanding of who we are. It's helpful to reflect on which traditions feel right to you and which ones feel limiting. This reflection can help you live in a way that matches your true beliefs. By recognizing what shaped you, you honor your past while also building a future that's uniquely yours. The role of traditions, family traditions, are a big part of who we are. They teach us values, connect us with our heritage, and help shape our identities. I remember the sounds and smells of family gatherings, from homemade meals to shared laughter. As a kid, I didn't fully understand the impact of these moments, but now I see how they gave me a sense of belonging and connection. In my family, stories of struggle and strength, like how my grandparents built a new life from nothing, were passed down. These stories are more than history. They remind us where we come from and inspire us to move forward. While traditions ground us, it's also important to make space for our individuality. I try to honor my family's customs while also finding new ways to express myself. For example, I might try new foods or celebrate holidays differently. I've learned that I can respect my heritage without being limited by it. Each person's path is unique, and the key is finding a balance between past traditions and personal growth. The influence of norms and values, social rules, shape how we live, often without us realizing it. Growing up, I felt the pressure to follow a set path, finish school, get a stable jobs, and settle down. Stepping away from that path felt strange, and I worried about what others would think. It felt like I was stuck in a pattern that didn't match my real goals. Choosing a different path was scary. When I decided to pursue writing instead of a traditional career, my family was concerned about financial stability. I felt the weight of their expectations, but I also felt a spark inside, urging me to follow my passion. Writing gave me freedom and helped me connect with others who dared to follow their dreams. Each story I wrote felt like shedding an old version of myself, making room for the real me to shine. Breaking away from social expectations isn't easy, but it can lead to personal growth. If you feel stuck in someone else's plan, it helps to explore those feelings and find people who inspire you. Writing down your thoughts can also give you clarity and help you create your own path. Facing self-deception, sometimes we lie to ourselves to make things easier. We convince ourselves we're happy in jobs or situations that don't fulfill us just to avoid tough choices. For example, we might say staying in a boring job is smart because it pays well, even though it drains us. Our minds create these stories to protect us from discomfort, but over time, these lies can hold us back from being truly happy. I've told myself small lies, like pretending I wasn't hungry or saying I didn't need to go out. These little excuses felt harmless at first, but eventually turned into bigger lies. At one point, I even convinced myself I was happy in a job that made me miserable. Telling people everything was great became easier than admitting I was unhappy. But this false sense of comfort left me feeling empty. Eventually, I realized I had to be honest with myself. I started journaling to explore my real thoughts and feelings. Writing down my fears and dreams helped me break free from the lies I had been living. Honesty gave me the clarity I needed to make decisions that matched my true values, leading to a more fulfilling life. Letting go of self-deception allows us to grow. It starts with small steps like acknowledging uncomfortable truths and leads to real change. When we're honest with ourselves, we open the door to a life that's both meaningful and authentic. Be kind to yourself on this journey. Every step you take toward discovering your truth is a victory worth celebrating. Breaking free from old, deceptive patterns can feel like peeling back layers of an onion, each layer revealing something new, sometimes things you didn't want to admit. It takes time and deep reflection to understand these patterns, but awareness is the first step to freedom. I found that a big part of this process involved recognizing how often I justified behaviors that didn't align with my values. Writing down my thoughts helped me notice these patterns. It wasn't about being harsh on myself, but about understanding and accepting the truth. Honesty isn't criticism. It's about kindness and acceptance. The more I embraced this mindset, the more I began to heal. Creating a space where I could confront my thoughts without fear of shame was crucial. Being gentle with myself and practicing self-compassion turned a cycle of self-deception into a chance for growth. Every small, truthful moment peeled away the weight of guilt and denial, bringing me closer to freedom. Honesty takes courage. It requires vulnerability, being open to yourself and others. In those moments, I found resilience. Accepting my imperfections made my connections with others more authentic. I also realized that sharing my journey with a trusted friend gave me strength. Having someone reflect your truths without judgment can be a powerful anchor. Being honest with yourself makes life not just manageable but fulfilling. The journey isn't easy, but every step towards self-awareness is worth it. The burden of expectations. Sometimes I feel caught between what I want for myself and what others expect from me. It's like walking a tightrope, trying to balance my inner desires with the loud demands of society. On social media, I see polished versions of other people's lives, and it makes me wonder if I'm doing enough. Why do I feel the need to fit in when my heart longs to break free? The constant comparison and need for approval can feel overwhelming. I noticed that I tied my happiness to achievements, not for the joy they gave me, but for the validation they brought. It became clear that I wasn't just chasing my dreams. I was running from the fear of judgment and disappointment. Learning to separate what others expect from what I truly want wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I began reflecting on my desires and creating space for self-exploration. Through this process, I realized that happiness doesn't come from meeting other people's standards, but from living in alignment with my true self. Keeping a journal became a helpful way to stay grounded. Writing my thoughts gave me clarity, reminding me that I am enough just as I am. The cost of conformity, fitting into society's expectations, can feel comforting at first. But beneath that comfort lies a truth. Conforming comes at the cost of our authentic selves. I remember choosing a career path that I thought would please others instead of following my passion for art. I told myself I could make art on the side, but the longer I stayed on that path, the more I lost touch with who I really was. Each lecture I attended felt like a piece of me slipping away. The regret of missed opportunities lingered, and I wondered what might have been if I had pursued my creative dreams. Watching friends boldly follow their passions made me realize how much I had sacrificed to fit in. I've learned that true happiness comes from embracing who we are, even if it means going against the grain. Every time I honor my passions, no matter how small, I reclaim a part of myself. It's not easy to step off the well-worn path, but it brings a sense of joy and connection that conformity can't offer. Embracing authenticity for years, I wore masks to fit into the molds society created. I sought approval, but the more I tried to conform, the more I felt disconnected from my true self. Society often values sameness over individuality, but I realized that fulfillment comes from embracing who I really am, even when it's hard. Authenticity isn't just about being honest, it's about having the courage to be different. It means expressing our unique perspectives and celebrating our quirks. Choosing to live authentically isn't always easy. Sometimes it means going against what others expect. But with every step, I felt myself grow stronger. Living authentically has also helped me build deeper, more honest relationships. The more I embraced my true self, the more I attracted people who connected with me on a real level. Being myself has opened doors to meaningful connections and opportunities I never imagined. The power of self-reflection, creating space for self-reflection, has been essential in my journey. I regularly ask myself, what do I really want? What feels true to me? This simple practice helps me stay connected to my inner self and choose a path that feels right. Living authentically may not always be easy, but it brings a sense of freedom that is worth every challenge. Each small act of self-honesty invites others to do the same, creating a ripple effect that transforms not just us, but the world around us. Embrace your unique journey. It's yours alone to walk. Understanding my own and others' behavior has helped me build healthier connections. I've learned that empathy is powerful. Instead of reacting defensively when someone pulls away, I now try to see things from their point of view. This change has improved how I connect with others. For example, when a friend seemed distant, I asked thoughtful questions instead of assuming the worst. This opened up a deeper conversation, helping us understand each other better. Knowing what motivates us is important in relationships. Are you looking for validation? Does the other person need reassurance? Recognizing these things can turn conflicts into chances for connection and growth. Love, when tangled with expectations, can feel heavy. I once thought love was always simple and unconditional, but a past relationship taught me otherwise. I noticed that love felt like something I had to earn, and when I didn't meet expectations, the warmth faded. That experience helped me see the difference between love that supports and love with conditions. Real love allows both people to grow, not feel trapped by unspoken demands. Clear communication about boundaries and desires is key to building relationships based on respect and trust, not hidden agendas. Mutual understanding is the foundation of meaningful relationships. I realized that even when two people share the same space, they may see the world very differently. To connect deeply, we need to listen with empathy, not just hear words. This mindset has transformed my relationships, helping me handle difficult conversations more gracefully. Even when there are disagreements, patience and vulnerability can help us move forward together. Being open with others isn't always easy. I used to fear being vulnerable because I was afraid of getting hurt. Past experiences taught me to protect myself, but over time, I learned that hiding only made things harder. Vulnerability, though risky, creates deeper connections. Every time I've shared a piece of myself, I've seen how it encourages others to do the same. It turns conversations into opportunities for growth and healing. Being open can be scary, but it's also freeing. I found that sharing my fears and hopes led to more meaningful relationships. The strength of open communication lies in allowing others to see us as we are. It takes courage, but it's worth it. In the end, true connection comes from trust and honesty. By inviting others into our real thoughts and emotions, we create space for genuine relationships to grow. Finding strength in honesty was in moments of being completely honest with myself that I found a strength I didn't know I had. I could finally breathe, free from pretending to be someone I wasn't. Being open became a powerful way to let go of my fear of being judged. When I started sharing my story, my failures, fears, and truths, I connected more deeply with others. At a gathering, I opened up about a tough time in my life. My heart raced, but as I shared, something amazing happened. Others began sharing their own struggles, creating a safe space filled with trust and understanding. It showed me that vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's how we connect and support each other. I learned that true strength comes from being yourself without hiding behind masks or worrying about others' expectations. Next time you feel scared to be open, remember that your honesty could inspire someone else. Start small. Every time you share a piece of your truth, you grow and build stronger connections with others. The struggle with too many choices making decisions can feel overwhelming, like standing in front of dozens of cereal boxes, unsure of what to pick. There are so many choices these days, from what to eat to what movie to watch. that it can leave us exhausted. One evening, my friends and I spent hours deciding where to order food, and we ended up picking a place none of us really liked because we were too tired to decide. This made me realize that sometimes having fewer choices is better. Limiting your options can make life simpler. Now, I try to set boundaries. For example, I'll stick to one book genre or ask friends for recommendations to avoid getting overwhelmed. By narrowing my choices, I find decision-making more enjoyable and less stressful. Balancing conflicting desires, life is full of tough choices, like choosing between chasing a dream or staying comfortable, between independence or love. These decisions can feel like a tug of war between different parts of me. But I've learned that the key is self-reflection and setting priorities based on what truly matters to me. It helps to journal about these conflicts. It brings clarity and shows me which choices really need attention and which can exist side by side. Life isn't about getting rid of all tension, but finding ways to live with it. Talking openly with people I trust also helps, as they can offer new insights. Trusting your intuition, those gut feelings we get, often helps us make the right choices when logic fails. There have been times when I faced big decisions, like a career move, and felt a strong inner pull to take a less obvious path. Even when friends told me to take the safe option, I trusted my gut, and it led me to new and exciting opportunities. The beauty of intuition is that it often surprises us. Whether it's calling an old friend or trying a new hobby, these small impulses can lead to meaningful moments. Trusting your inner voice isn't always easy, but it can open doors to unexpected adventures. The pursuit of happiness can be tricky to understand. I used to think I'd feel happy if I achieved certain goals or bought new things. But even when I reached those milestones, I sometimes felt strangely empty. Happiness isn't something we find and hold on to forever. It comes and goes, often mixed with life's challenges. Real joy can come from small moments, like spending time with friends or enjoying some peace alone. Take a moment to think about what really brings you joy. It might surprise you how different it is from what society says should make you happy. Letting go of external validation for a long time, I thought my happiness depended on what others thought of me. A compliment could make my day, but if I didn't get any, I felt lost. Social media also made me feel this way. Likes and shares gave me a quick boost, but the feeling never lasted. I realized that relying on others' opinions for happiness isn't healthy. True happiness comes from within, not from what others say or think about us. Happiness used to feel like a roller coaster, going up and down based on other people's approval. I had moments where I thought applause and recognition would bring me joy, but they didn't last. I remember standing on stage, surrounded by cheers, but instead of feeling fulfilled, I felt empty. I learned that no amount of awards or praise could give me lasting happiness. These experiences taught me an important lesson. True happiness doesn't come from others, but from within. Relying on outside validation made me realize I needed to connect with myself and find joy in things that genuinely matter to me. I started journaling moments when I felt proud of myself, even without anyone's approval. It shifted my focus inward and helped me feel grateful for my journey with all its ups and downs. I used to chase happiness through achievements, relationships, and trends, but it never lasted. Each time, I was left feeling empty. Then I realized true happiness comes from within. This understanding was freeing. I didn't need anyone else's approval to feel happy. I began focusing on activities that made me happy, like quiet mornings with coffee, nature walks, and creative projects. When I prioritized these small joys, my life improved in ways I never imagined. Happiness isn't a destination, it's a journey. Life will always have challenges, but if we approach them with self-love and acceptance, our experience changes. Start small. Notice the little things that make you smile each day. Joy is everywhere if we look for it. Living intentionally, making thoughtful choices became another important part of my journey. I started asking myself why I was doing things, like scrolling through social media. Was it making my life better or just filling time? This mindset helped me focus on what really matters and let go of habits that weren't serving me. One key change was setting boundaries with work. Instead of working late every night, I made time for personal things I enjoyed, like painting. This decision brought more balance and creativity to my life. Living with intention isn't about planning everything. It's about aligning your choices with what's meaningful to you. Setting small, meaningful goals also made a big difference. Instead of overwhelming myself with huge plans, I focused on small steps, like 10 minutes of meditation each morning. These small actions added up over time, transforming my outlook. I learned that goals should reflect your true self, not just society's expectations. Over time, I reevaluated my goals to make sure they aligned with what mattered to me. This flexibility made my journey more fulfilling. A meaningful goal isn't about achieving something big. It's about growing and staying connected with what's important to you. Purpose also plays a key role in happiness. Simple acts like journaling or mindfulness helped me understand what really mattered. Strengthening my relationships with loved ones and doing things to help others added more meaning to my life. I realized that sharing experiences and supporting others builds deeper connections. Some moments shifted my perspective in unexpected ways. Talking with an elder about their life reignited my passion for exploring my own interests. Giving a speech on stage showed me how sharing my voice could inspire others. These moments taught me that purpose isn't a destination, it's a journey shaped by experiences. Failures along the way helped me grow. They reminded me to stay flexible and open to change. Purpose and happiness come from trying new things, learning, and adapting. If you ever feel lost, take time to reflect on what really matters to you. Think about what brings you joy and aligns with your values. Life changes, and that's okay. Each day is an opportunity to make choices that bring meaning to your life and the lives of others. Chapter 15. Turning insight into action from awareness to change. Awareness can spark change. I learned this during a moment of reflection that changed my life in unexpected ways. In our busy lives, we often ignore the quiet calls from within us that guide us to something better. Recognizing these signs can be the first step on an important journey. During a slow time in my career, I realized the value of self-awareness. I started asking myself if I was really happy or just going through the motions. This curiosity opened my eyes to new insights and showed me that change was necessary. I understood that I alone could make my life fulfilling. I remember a moment when a friend pointed out that I seemed overwhelmed and unhappy. At first, I didn't want to accept his view, but deep down, I knew he was right. After some self-reflection, I decided to take charge of my life. I began practicing mindfulness, which helped me understand my emotions and needs better. This awareness led to meaningful changes in my work-life balance. I started setting boundaries that allowed me to explore my passions outside of work. Each small step I took, like taking time for myself or reconnecting with old hobbies, added up to a big shift in how I felt. I became more energized and motivated, knowing I was taking real steps rooted in awareness. Your journey from awareness to change doesn't need to be dramatic. Sometimes it starts with a simple question: what makes you feel truly alive? Pay attention to those small nudges in your daily life. They can guide you toward changes that improve your happiness. Once you see what needs to change, it becomes easier to make those changes. Remember, you are in control of your journey, and awareness is your guide to a more fulfilling life. The role of accountability is vital for lasting change and growth. It's not just about keeping promises to ourselves, it's also about having a support system that helps us stay focused. For me, accountability acted like a guiding light on my path to personal growth. When I shared my goals with others, they felt more achievable. By voicing my intentions, I was inviting others to help hold me accountable. This connection made my goals feel less lonely and more like a shared mission. The fear of letting someone down motivated me to work harder and commit to my changes. I formed partnerships for accountability, like teaming up with a friend who wanted to adopt healthier habits. We checked in with each other weekly, sharing our progress and setbacks. This support kept me motivated and created a safe space for us to express our feelings. We laughed at our mistakes and discussed our struggles, which brought us closer together. Accountability is not about judgment, it's about support and shared growth. I found that when I shared my goals, it inspired others to pursue their own changes too. If you want to add accountability to your life, find a partner to share your goals with. This partnership could be the support you didn't know you needed. Sustaining long-term change, transformative changes often bring hope, but keeping that change going can be tough. While I enjoyed the excitement of change, I soon realized that certain practices helped me stay on track. Establishing daily routines, like journaling or practicing mindfulness, allowed me to reconnect with my motivations. Taking time each day to reflect reinforced the values that drove my transformation, making my changes feel like a lasting part of my life. Being around supportive communities also helped me grow. Connecting with people on similar journeys provided encouragement and inspiration, creating an environment where lasting changes could thrive. As I worked to integrate transformation into my daily life, I regularly revisited my core intentions. I carried a small card reminding me of why I started this journey. It guided me during tough times. There were moments of self-doubt when old habits tempted me to go back to my comfort zone. But remembering how far I'd come often reignited my commitment. I recall a day in autumn when I faced a setback. My excitement was dimmed by doubt. While walking in nature, I saw the changing leaves, each one symbolizing transformation. I realized that change doesn't mean being perfect. It's about continuous growth. Accepting both my struggles and successes helped me embrace my entire journey, making transformation a lasting theme in my life. Looking back, I see that sustaining change takes conscious choices, courage, vulnerability, and self-compassion. Setting clear and achievable goals made my aspirations feel more manageable. Sharing my journey with others allowed me to learn from their experiences and build deeper connections. Remember, transformation is a lifelong pursuit that evolves with us. Keeping an open heart and a curious mind creates space for new insights and growth, ensuring the changes we make today continue to flourish tomorrow. Thank you for joining me on this enlightening journey through The Elephant in the Brain, uncovering the truths behind our actions. I hope this audiobook has helped you understand the hidden forces that shape our lives. By recognizing these truths, we can better navigate our relationships and make choices that align with our values. Awareness is the first step toward change. As you move forward, may you uncover your own truths, embrace vulnerability, and live with greater authenticity and purpose. Keep exploring, questioning, and staying true to yourself. Until next time, keep uncovering the elephants in your brain.